basically, I don't know, this week I just wanted to, get an interview in with somebody that's interesting,
My
and I've
man.
I've known you for a very long time. So, I know some of the things that you've been through, some of the things you currently dealing with and being vocal about in the community. So I just wanted to sit down and touch bases with you on that this week. So
No
I
problem. Start.
guess we can start with, can you tell me a little about who you are and how you would describe yourself to someone meeting you for the first time?
Who I am and how I would describe myself for somebody meeting me for the first time. That's pretty loaded. I'm a man of character, man of God, first and foremost. None of us are complete with our journey if we're still here, right? So there's a lot of learning to do. If I had to describe myself to those that didn't know me, I'd say I'm led by my heart. Um, I tend to be a little bit more emotional than I would like to have admitted when in my past when I was younger. Didn't realize that them emotions stem from a lot of passion and purpose. So I just had to learn how to re-guide that and refocus. But yeah, so I'm a a sales extraordinaire, customer service communication extraordinaire, mentor, author now. Book just arrived yesterday. My first little compilation of thoughts and ideas to help the next generation. Father, brother, you know, uh, entrepreneur spirit and mind, philanthropist, uh, um, soon to be, hopefully, So
What uh what first motivated you to start getting involved in the community?
well, being of the community, being in this area, I don't know where those that are listening or whatever, but I'm in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I moved to Green Bay 36 years ago. I was 12 years old, and I went from being the only white kid in school in Chicago to being the only black kid in school in Green Bay. And so, I've had, some experience and history here in Green Bay, and I'm still here. I have a 17-year-old, and he's about to be 17 in January, still going through the school system. And, I've been really active and hands-on with him as a single father for the most part. And, you know, observing his experience kind of led me to wanting to, fill gaps, build bridges, create pathways for those youngsters and really be a voice and advocate for them because I think as adults, we're not giving these students and young children the the just due that they deserve. I mean, these are bright young individuals. Yeah, they might not have, the indoctrination down pat yet, right, from the public education system. But they are smart as a whip and they know how they feel. They're not afraid to express their feelings. They're not going to fake pretend to be nice. They're not going to, hold back or sugarcoat anything. And I respect that about this young generation. And so I wanted to be an elder or an adult voice that would allow these voices to be heard, whether it's their own voices, and I'm just creating a platform with my Youth Empowerment Summit, or being the voice for them and speaking for them in those closed private meetings where they're not welcome.
Bam, I swear you just answered like three of my questions in one. I love it. I love it. Um, we put the Brown in Brown County. What
Oh
inspired
yeah.
you to start your movement and what message were you trying to send when you launched it?
Well, going back to me being here since 89, the only mixed kid in school, brown kid in school. I think in that time there was maybe 10 families total in the whole 920 area, and they were spread out, And we're 30 some years in the game, and quite honestly, we don't have brown management and upper management positions in Green Bay. We don't have brown news anchors in Green Bay. We don't have brown teachers or school board members in Green Bay. We only have a couple brown police officers. I think there's a total of 10 brown people working for the whole entire Green Bay government, other than like Pakistani or Indian or something of that nature. So that was primarily, the original focus was to say, hey, it's time that we, put the Brown in Brown County, right? And I decided to turn it into we put the Brown in Brown County because I had to stay true to myself. And me being a mixed man, I I can't deny my history, and I can't deny anybody's history. And this system wasn't designed by or for brown folks in mind. And yet we're still trying to force them to fit into a system that wasn't designed with their best interests in mind. And um, we put the Brown in Brown County means collectively we have to do it. We have to say, okay, you know what? We recognize there's some challenges. Let's meet those challenges head on. Let's face our facts, and let's put facts over feelings and do what it takes to implore more brown folks. Because you can't tell me that there's no brown candidates. I just don't believe that either I don't believe that we're stepping up to the plate, A, or when we do step up to the plate, we're not even getting acknowledged, B. And either one of those options we need to explore more. And so I just want to create a movement where everybody can get behind because not everybody's a Packer fan in Green Bay. Uh, and so I just wanted a community movement. It doesn't matter if you're white, brown, green, yellow, old, young, you can get behind. We put the Brown in Brown County, and not to mention, when you add value to something, right? Like, you put it in it, right? Like you add the fun and funk, you know what I mean? Or you add the buzz and the bee and buzz, I don't know, whatever. But it was kind of like just a play on words, marketing ploy, so to speak. So
um, how have people reacted to the movement? Have there been any any moments that made you feel its impact?
yeah, I think, selling 300 shirts in the first 30 days, about 42 days, I sold 300 shirts. And um I was like, okay, there's definitely a need for this type of awareness. And um you know the joy of getting that message, hey, let me get one of those shirts, right? Like that's a joy, man. You created something and somebody seeks it, like um but what I think the most impactful thing I did was showed my community how connected I was in the community, because there's out of those 300 sales, and I would say seven of them weren't attached to a personal message. So damn near every single person that bought a shirt, I said, "Hey, I want y'all to meet so and so and so and so. I know them from this era of my life, a stand up this, a professional that, master at this, or whatever the case may be," because I wanted the community to see, not just brown or not just white, but just the community in general to see like I'm really tied into Green Bay at a holistic level, like at the root level. And I mentioned a lot of people with 20 years, 25 years, 30-year relationships that's been here in Green Bay struggling, black, brown, or indifferent. So we want to see culture up here. I just feel like we're being gate kept, if you will.
Um, Actually, to touch on that, I was able to go back up top into my questions. Um, you said you wanted to show people how connected you were with your community, with Brown County, with Green Bay.
Hmm.
Um, you do. I know this from even back in the days and hosting. You hosted shows and stuff. You do have a strong presence at events and gatherings. What do
Hmm.
you hope people feel or take away when they see you out doing your work?
That's him, like that's who he is. Man, I thought that was just Facebook, like, no, that wasn't just Facebook. He was really like that in here. You know what I mean? I really go for that authenticity. If you think back about 20 years ago when we were both in the music, when you came to Green Bay and met me, you was like, this ain't no Green Bay dude. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
dude just don't give me no Green Bay vibe. You know what I mean? Like I wanted that. I want that for everybody. I wanted everybody that who we worked together with or networked with or seen me in action. I want them to feel like, yeah, okay, dude really means what he says and he says what he means. And I get that from my corporate training and influence my parental influence, my stepmom when I was a kid. Don't say it if you don't mean it, and don't mean it if you don't say it.
Love it. I love it.
Hmm.
Speaking of music, how did you first get involved in music and entertainment?
Oh man. Being mixed, I had the best of both worlds, man. I had rock, classic rock, Motown, and I had the joy of, knowing hip hop way back in the day and not really tuned in, but as things started progressing in the hip hop world and probably about 86, 87. I think I got my first little hip hop tape. I want to say it was Candyman. Not Yeah, I want to say it was Candyman was my first hip hop tape back in the day, and LL Cool J I think was my first, like, back then you used to play on one recorder and tape record on the other. I think LL Cool J was the first one I did that for. But and then, as I got older, DJing in Green Bay, moved up here, there was no nightclub, right? There was no black spot to hang out at in 89, 90, 91, 92. And so probably about 93, I started DJing at schools. And 98, I DJ'd at a nightclub in Green Bay called Manhattan's. Well, it was decades before it was Manhattan's before it was decades, or vice versa. Um, and then once I seen I could rock a crowd with music, I did that for a while, and then it progressed. As I started hanging out with people that do music, I was intrigued. I'm always good with words, so learning how to put my sentences and structure my sentences differently, because you're still speaking sentences in music, but they're just not structured sentences like in normal grammar or punctuation. So um, hanging around some of the best artists, man, that's all I can say. Like I've had the opportunity to work with some of the best artists Wisconsin's had to offer, and I loved it. So I kept it going.
Um, Speaking of keeping it going, I know recently within the last couple of years, you created a Titletown Battle League.
Yeah,
What
man.
what role do you what role do you or did you see it playing in the community?
Man, that's a great question. So I was in college for digital media technology, and there was all these projects to do. You got to find projects, right? And if I'm being honest, I mean, Titletown Battle League was an opportunity for us camera guys to get behind the camera. And so I had a couple students that were behind the cameras, and I hosted the event. I never hosted a rap battle before, but I'm an enthusiast. I really appreciate the craft and the art and the skill set and everything that goes with battle rap. And I just thought Titletown Battle League had a dope ring to it, and I wanted it to be the alternative to mainstream, sellout rap music, rapping in bars, rapping for clout, things of that nature. I really wanted to become the iron sharpens iron, the gritty arena of rap in Green Bay, because not everybody really has it. You go in the studio, and I recorded cats where it took them an hour to get a verse out. But
Yeah.
I've also recorded cats where they did 3 songs in an hour. You know what I mean? And I wanted that battle rap arena to really separate in creme de la creme. So yeah, it was a fun endeavor. I think we did three rap battles total, three different rap battle events. Shout out to my boy Trip, David Murphy, undefeated man. I can't find nobody to rock dude's bell, man.
Listen, I've known Trip since 2012-ish. I want to
Hmm.
say a long time. I've known Trip a long time. And when I say
Hmm.
like, cause I actually like at one point in time lived with him and his family and stuff.
Hmm.
They took me in. Uh, that's all he would do. Halo and watch battles and
I
rap.
swear, you can you can tell. I mean, I wasn't impressed when I first met him just off of meeting him. You know what I mean? I was like, oh man, what's dude? Like, come on, man.
You would think, and
But
then you
the,
got to listen to
but
him and his delivery and
what? I was like, dang. And so then I remember the third battle that I put him in. The first one backed out, and the second one he slaughtered, and then the third one he dismantled strategically. I didn't think he was going to win that one. I didn't. It was against Young Man Sin. I thought Young Man Sin, was the dude, man. He's had experience. I thought he was going to show Trip what's up, but no, Trip did his thing, man. So yeah, the Tattletown Battle League was a fun adventure. So if you notice, like if you go on the page, you'll see all the intro videos and all of those videos. Those were all school projects. So those are all graded school projects. So that was the whole reason why I started the Tattletowne Battle League.
hey, listen, I completely understand. We're in the middle of one right now with me
Yeah.
with me doing journalism. Going for my
Yep.
master's right now. I'm coming
Hmm.
down to the end of it. I
That's
graduate
good.
in March, and
Congratulations.
thank you. Three months left for this, and it's like
Hmm.
every week I'm like, man, I gotta find somebody to talk to. I gotta talk to something.
Yeah.
I gotta do something, and
Yeah.
it's just getting to a point where it's like now with the snow and everything like this, I'm telling teachers, I'm like, man, listen, me traveling right now is kind of getting
Right.
crazy. So I'm like, okay, you know
So you
what?
had to get creative.
Improvise and use
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah. Hey, you got to get creative. That's part of the joy of being a creator. Is you get to create and you get to elevate your brand and leave breadcrumbs along the way. It's not you start off platinum, right? You start
Right.
off not selling an album, and then eventually you keep going and then you may go platinum, right? So I'm proud of you.
Um, every every leader has moments. You know, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, Mike Tyson for that matter. Every leader has moments that could have taken their life in a different direction. What was a turning point for you?
And first of all, to be in the same as in the same atmosphere as those gentlemen that you mentioned. Wow. Um, for me, the turning point was, I mean, a couple things, but the most, primary, the primary reason was I had 24 years of being in and out of jail. 12 years old, moved up here, incarcerated by 13, juvenile prison at 14, out at 15, 16, back in at 17, adult prison by 18, out at 21, back in for 10 months, out at 22, you know what I mean? Like, and then just in and out little stints here and there all the way up into my 30s. So from 12 to 36 I was in and out of jail so much, like it was a lifestyle, right? Like i I mean, I have a mug shot smiling. I have a picture of me in a visit throwing up the peace sign with a smile, like I'm glorifying a lifestyle that, because it was the only lifestyle that I knew. You know, it really wasn't anything to me to do time. It really wasn't anything for me to sleep in a cement block or take a crap on a metal toilet like it was a Tuesday, you know. Um, 2012, I was facing, I was doing I remember you came to the hideout joints in 2011 when I was doing the hideout joints. And I know RBE and all them guys, they came out a couple times, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and I was facing 36 years in prison, man. In January 2012, I got arrested and for being involved in activities that I was used to, accustomed to. Um, I really it was just a lifestyle choice, right? And through the grace of God, I fought that case with everything in me. I never I never fought for myself before like I fought for myself at this time. I really was at that point where I was like, okay, God, I was like, this can't be it. I said, I really don't know you. I said, I hear a lot about you. If they say you do things that are unthinkable, unimaginable. I said, this might be one of those moments. And, I just started using my brain. I didn't play spades. I didn't play dominoes. I didn't interact with none of the inmates. For the first time, I did my bit and didn't let my bit do me, right? And, yeah, I ended up fighting the case. I worked as a trustee to get my release date prior to my court date. I ended up bonded out, went and met my attorney, fired a couple of attorneys. On my fifth attorney, I found one that was a ringer, and I gave him the script. We went back and forth to court. 2 years later, my case is dismissed on my birthday month. And when I got that phone call, I didn't believe it. Things like this don't happen to me. And I was definitely a bag of emotions because when I hung up after calling them back for the second time, uh, just to make sure I wasn't, mishearing or anything, I was like, "Can you run that by me one more time?" And uh, I bawled, man, like a baby because up until that point, I thought I was going to do at least 10 to 12 years. I was facing 36. I thought I was going to get at least 10, minimum, maximum 15, so I was set in my mind to do at least 10 years. And my son who's 17 now, he was just born in 2009. So he was only a couple years old. And when that case was dismissed, I was like, okay, I never looked a gift horse in the mouth. I stopped smoking, I stopped drinking, I stopped fornicating, I stopped pornographying, I stopped doing all those things, man. And not to say I'm holier than thou or bigger and better than anybody, but I just didn't know the right way. So I had to stop everything and I just dug in the books, man. Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Who Moved the Cheese, Traveler's Gift, The Alchemist, Devil, Outwitting the Devil, just so many books, bro. Just compiling books and experience. And I liked it. I liked it. I liked what I learned. So, here we are. That was 2014. Here we are 11 years later, almost 12 years later to the day. And my book was just released and man, off to the races. So, well, not released, printed. So off to the races now just to get myself in a different platform.
Man, that's that's powerful. That's
Thanks,
powerful.
bro.
And again, great explanation on all of that because that really just saved a couple more questions.
My man, my man.
Uh when you look at what you went through and when you look at the community today, you spoke about, the things that you did in your youth years. When you think of that and you see the youth of today in the community, where do you feel is the difference?
Man, the difference is I feel like nobody listened to me when I was going through it. You know, like I said, I moved from Chicago and I was deemed a troublemaker up here. but I was a straight A student down there. You know, it doesn't make sense how I could be a straight A student, A B student. Let me not lie, A and B student, but I went to a private Catholic school all the way up to third grade. You know, and so education was serious in private schools, right? And then went to a public school, got in trouble, another public school, got in trouble, another public school, got in trouble, and then it was just public school after public school after public school, and finally imprisoned by seventh or eighth grade. And um, I think today there's just 1,000 more of me. There's so many more kids like me up here now than there's ever been, ever. Like this is the first explosion of multi-race kids in this area, right? Like we're talking, I've been up here 36 years. I know a lot of women up here who had multi-race kids, right? Going inside the schools with my son and throughout the years, I've seen it more multi-race kids, multi-race kids, multi-race kids. And so I think the difference between now and then primarily is just the number of bodies like me. Um, the issue I've seen though is they don't know how to deal with it. This area has a way of, I don't know, so I'm going to push it off. I don't know, so I'm going to act like it doesn't exist instead of saying, I don't know, let me learn how. And I feel like that's where I come in as an advocate, not only for the youth, but also for the adults dealing with those youth, because it's a communication barrier, right? Like as an instructor, your job is to instruct and profess and get the pupil in the mindset where learning is important to them, right? As a student, your job is to show up and be present and learn what you can and just do your best, right? So I think there's a dichotomy of expectations that need to be set between the professors and the students individually. And then when they come together collectively, understand that it's a team effort. It's not just the student's responsibility or just the instructor's responsibility to have the information delivered. But you add today's culture in the mix, social media, especially, right? Like, it's different. It's different. We weren't clout chasing in the 80s and 90s. You would get called out quick, and your ass would get dragged home by your ear by one of the old heads on the block. Like, hey, get this little knucklehead out of here. You don't belong out here. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
and if you were an athlete, the D boys and the gangsters,
They protected
get
you.
yeah, get
They
your ass home,
they
get your
wanted
ass
you.
to the
Yeah.
field. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't no, oh man, forget football or forget basketball. Come on out here with us. But today it's just a little bit different because we got that social media factor. So I mean, I think the same issues exist up here. I just think they're magnified because of the amount of individuals and social media and camera phones and things of that nature.
All right. So I think these, because I'm not a subscriber on Zoom, so these only last 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
One last thing before we go. What do you hope
hmm
your legacy will be in Green Bay?
Well, my legacy is not what I do, but what I inspire other people to do. Just creating the platforms, right? Like my new publication, Cash Out, Never Crash Out. You'll see me start promoting that like crazy. It's just 14 chapters, 15 if you count, my last little goodbyes or whatever, but um of just game. It's just game. It's just knowledge and it's just delivered in bite-sized chunks to where this chapter might fit you this month and this chapter might fit you next month, and you can always go into it like, okay, what did my dog say about this, and it's real, it's authentic, it's no hype, no fluff. So I really hope that my legacy is what I inspire my sons to do, what I inspire others to do, And just know that, if I can do it, you can do it, because I was counted out 1,000 times. I ain't gonna lie to you. 6-time felon, 4 kids, 4 baby mamas. I wasn't supposed to, I'm not even supposed to be here right now. I'm dead or in prison, right? So just knowing that you can go from straight up real street cat to straight up real enthusiasts of spreading love and joy, peace, and nurturing and caring. And to me, that's the legacy, right? Like, man, that's a big dude, but he ain't all that bad. So that's what I go for.